Okay, so
rolling
already, are we? Oh, we're all
rolling.
Set. So firstly, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. This is Alex 2, because several months ago we sat on this very same couch, and Alex shared some of his life story, and it was absolutely fascinating. If you have not had the opportunity yet, it's on YouTube. Please go and have a watch and have a listen. It's quite fascinating. I learned so much about Alex on that evening, and continue to find out little snippets of information from Alex as we meet for coffee in Totnes quite regularly. And so Alex and I have become great friends, and I really treasure Alex's friendship. He's an amazing, beautiful human being, and I'm sure tonight we'll get to hear Alex sharing a little bit about the music scene and his music, particularly with Soundart Radio, because the last conversation we had was pretty much more about Alex and his story against all odds, about him being here after having his accident as a child, and living through that, and what it's like to live with a acquired brain injury, and the challenges it has. I can't even imagine what that must be like. And here we are with this local legend. Every time I come into Totnes, I see him somewhere in some street, walking or cycling somewhere, and my partner Virginia says, "Oh, here's Alex again." He pops up sort of here, there he is. Right. So, Alex, in terms of music, what's your earliest memory of music for you? You want to take us back, way back to some of the early days of music, just to bring some context into this evening.
Okay. Well, way back when I was little, when I was actually living in a house on a beach. Very, very fortunate. I grew up in this house that was built on a beach, basically, and I used to go and be in my room quite a lot, and I'd play the radio, and then, as you did back then, sort of record stuff from the radio with a tape cassette player, and I know that was a slightly dodgy thing to do, but everyone did it back then. But I remember recording this. I don't know if I can say this without being crucified. Genesis concert. I remember recording this Genesis concert from start to finish on the radio, and it was just like, wow. And I remember, because I always used to listen to the top 40 and things like that, and I remember thinking to myself, I could be on the radio someday, but I didn't necessarily say it to. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't make it known until I sort of got to move to Totnes in 2012. I didn't really breathe a word about it to anyone, not at school, not at home, and
So the seed was planted many years before we actually went on the radio.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. I liked listening to Desert Island Disc. The top 40. God, don't know if anyone remembers. There's loads of DJs around, and I remember seeing one of them for anyone remembers the club, the Cooperage in Plymouth, where one of them played once. I forget who it was.
Something like Tony Blackburn or something.
No, well, no, God no. It
Going
was,
back, isn't it?
it was, oh God, who was it? God, I can't remember now, but it was like one of these top DJs. It was, I can't remember now.
No, Legman's.
Jules Holland.
No.
Holland was not a DJ.
Mentioned some really big names. That
John Peel.
No, not John Peel. I saw it was a DJ that played on, had a regular show on radio.
Kenny Everett.
No, God knows. No. Anyway, yeah.
It'll come.
Yeah, it'll come. It'll come.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And Alice, can you remember the first album you ever bought? It'll stretch your memory a little bit, isn't it?
A bit.
Or maybe it was a single. Maybe it was a single before you bought an
Oh,
album.
Madness.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, House. I remember getting that, picking that up in Kingsbridge for about 50p. and then, because I used to have a record player at home, and it's like, I used to put records on and stuff like that. And I think I had a Talking Heads album at one point, I can't remember. But I remember getting rid of everything before I was 20 and getting one of those double tape, machines and things, and taking that to college. And then I got rid of my record player, which I really regret, and all records. But I don't know what happened to them all actually. But yeah, one of my favourite ones was well, not one of the favourite ones, but I liked it at the time. I bought Star Trekking by The Firm. That was the single. Like Star Trek. It's like, But yeah.
Because oftentimes, isn't it, it's the music that defines us sometimes. The music we listen to, the books we read, sometimes the education we have or we don't have. But music is such a big, big part of so many people's lives. I think it's just an interesting conversation to put the biography side of music into someone's life. So questioning Alex about his music and his connection to music is another aspect to Alex that I don't know. It's new to me. Sort of had little snippets of information. So the other question, Alex, is we know the music in terms of the discs. What about your concert? What was the first ever concert? Can you remember?
Concept of what?
Concert.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Or festival.
Oh God, festival. That's easy. I didn't really. I don't know. I was a bit of a nonce. I mean, I don't know, something like that. But I was a bit of a. I never went to a festival really until one day my friend was going through a bad time, and there was this festival called it was a Maker Festival, one of the first Maker Festivals I went to, and I remember that very, very well actually, because loads of mates from Cornwall that I had were at the festival, because I used to volunteer for a long while at the Monkey Sanctuary in Cornwall, and a lot of people I knew there were at this festival, the Maker Festival, one of the first makers, and it was like, and there I remember, because my friend ran an absinthe bar, and it was like really like, so we'd just go every night and just have a couple of shots of absinthe before going into the main bar and the main stage and stuff. It was great, and one of the main band on the headliner on the last day of the festival was like it's Mad Dog McCree back in the day, and they were. I remember seeing them and thinking, my God, they're awesome. But the thing was, they arrived on this tour bus, bit bigger than Chris's, I think, and they went tour bus. My friend John went on the tour bus with a bottle of, full bottle of absinthe, and they just passed it round. By the time it came back to John, the bottle was empty, and then they went on and played. Those are the days, and I remember them having the big trailer stage there, and they had a Jimi Hendrix tribute band, which was just like excellent, because we were sat in the sun just looking at this watching the trailer band, and it was like, doing whatever you do, smoking, whatever happens at festivals. I won't go into it because I'm probably not allowed to mention it, but because I know this thing will be on YouTube, I think, but
can be edited.
I know, but it was those were the days, and I just remember watching this guitarist on the stage, and he was actually, playing the guitar behind his head, like Hendrix did and things like that. It was, I can't remember what they're called, but they were like, from a very early age, I remember hearing Yellow Submarine on the radio. And I remember I think it was my 5th or 6th birthday, my mum made me a Yellow Submarine birthday cake.
Oh.
And I've got a picture of that.
Pre-caterpillar.
And it was amazing. Yeah.
So it's good to reminisce, isn't it, about our time with music and where we've been and who we've heard, who we've seen. And then obviously you came to Totnes at some time, and then this Soundart Radio came into your life, Alex. How did that transpire? How did you get involved with Soundart Radio? Do you want to tell a little bit of a story around that?
Yeah, I can try. I went to, what did I go to? No, I was just mulling around in Totnes for 2 years, finding my feet, thinking I got, just going for walks and blah 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 and everything, and then just thinking, and then just I had this friend. I used to go into the shop and talk to a friend, and she was saying that she had a show on this community radio station called Soundart. I'm like, oh yeah, very interesting, yeah. And so one day, I can't remember when it was, but it was in the summer of some various year, I'm not sure when, but it was like, I wandered up Startington and to Soundart, where the Soundart was. And it was back then, it was where the green table is now on the estate. And I went up, had a look. It looked pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, that was... But I only saw it from the outside, and I tried it and no one was in, so I'm like, all right, So I went away and sort of forgot about it for a year or two after that. And then I don't know, there was some sort of event in the Civic Hall, sort of I don't know, the 3rd of December or about a month before Christmas or something like that. And Soundart Radio was there. So we had a chat, I had a chat to my friend Alice, and I said, we got chatting, and and then it went from there really. And I go, well, how do you get involved? And she said, oh yeah, it's simple, just send an email to info at Soundart Radio. And I'm like, really? And I was quite scared back in those days of even sending emails to people I don't know. And so it's quite big for me. So I sort of bit the bullet and thought, maybe. And so I sent this email. I said something like, hey, my name's Alex. I've got an idea for a show. Could I share it with you? And then someone got back and they said, yeah, come in next week at this time in the back then there was a place called Space, which is now known as Lower Close in Dartington. Honestly, that place had changed a lot. When the Dartington College of Arts was here, that place was called Lower Close. When I moved to Totnes, it was then called Space, and now recently it's just gone back to Lower Close. Again, it's like, what? Anyway, don't get me started on the politics of Dartington, but it's
Alex's third programme.
Yeah, another time.
yeah, another time. But it's just and back then and so I got chatted with this lady Lucinda, who was the artistic director of Soundart Radio at the time, and she just said, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I've got this idea of a show. You could call it like Veer Island Discs or something like that, and have a piss take, a Desert Island Disc or something like that. And I was like, and I was expecting, yeah, that'd be okay. Maybe you can have a show in 6 months' time. This is what I was expecting to hear, but I didn't. It was just before Christmas. It was about a week before Christmas. And then said, well, how about a show starting a couple of weeks after Christmas? I'm like, what? And the thing is with Soundart Radio, it's a community radio station. It's a lovely community radio station. It's run by volunteers, and it's like, and they throw you in literally at the deep end. I didn't even know how to copy and paste, and it was like, so and you learn through doing stuff, not by, and so that was that. My first show was on the 16th of January. I was going to say my date of birth. So 16th of January 2014. And it's been going strong ever since. But that first show, I remember only recording half of it. And I remember it wasn't... It was a very windy day, and there was something up with the transmitter, so it didn't get broadcast in FM, luckily. But it did go online. But it was strange days. And back then, there was God, how do I say it? Trans guy called Sophie in the studio, and she was an excellent sort of producer, and she
was my backup when I started.
Oh, right. And she produced the first year or so of radio shows that I did. But they all went really well. But it was, and as with Soundart, it's like it's run by old technology, not new, so it's not up to date at all. So, well, yeah.
And I believe you've got a little excerpt of your radio show for us to hear.
Yeah.
Little snippets, are they, from different shows?
Little snippets, yeah. They're not all. It's about. Oh God, let me just. Yeah. It's about. Shall I just play it all and then you can ask me questions, whatever you like afterwards? But I've got an 8-minute clip of Veer Island shows all put together, sort of thing, that I did the other day, and also I've done a couple of radio documentaries, which I've.
Yeah, we'll do that a bit later.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll start with the.
It would be nice just to get a sense of Alex's shows, just some little snippets.
Yeah. Odd times, very odd times, I've had people come on when I'm the guest. Because I wanted to know what it's like on the other side of the mic. So it's going to start off with someone coming in and being the interviewer, whereas I'm the guest then. So let's play it.
And you've given me the key to the teleporter, which is the highest honour that one Totnesian can bestow upon another. So here goes nothing.
Yeah, this was the piano Ed, Andy Hill played. I recorded this while.
Okay, well, as you can hear through that ethereal jingle, we are whisking in the air right now over sort of Kevix, and then we're making a left at the church. It's like taking a landing over Morrison's car park, and here we are on Veer Island. Well, as you can hear from that wonderful summery soundtrack of ducks and stuff. Anyway, Alex, are you having a good day?
Yeah, I am actually. I've been slightly nervous because I'm like on. Well, as my uncle said once when I had him on the show, on the dark side of the microphone.
Interesting. That would put me on the light side. I would be Obi-Wan to your.
Because I'm usually the one asking the questions. You see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Does it feel really different?
It does actually. Yeah. It kind of does because I don't know where you're going to go with this, and so it's totally up to you, I guess. And
well, we've got the format, the tried and true format, where you choose some songs and then we talk about the significance of those songs to you. One of the things that I was explaining to my son earlier about what we were doing this evening, and I said that basically Veer Island Discs, like more or less anyone who's anyone in Totnes has been on your show over the many years you've been doing it. How many years have you been doing it?
Well, since 2014. It started on January the 16th, 2014.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think I'd even heard of Totnes. And if you go through his archive on Mixcloud, it's just like a who's who. I mean, obviously not everyone, but like a bunch of people. Most, I would say, or many of the interesting kind of musicians, publicans.
So would I be right in thinking? I don't know if this is.
I was actually taking this interview on Black Sounds,
but Seasonal Beasts, and we've all got challenging states with
mine, so
Yeah.
they can be.
I think it's ordinary human experience to have mental health issues.
Yeah.
It's not a problem for
suffer
some.
an element of seasonal adjustment.
It's a problem for the many, not the few. Sorry.
No, that's probably tied to it, though, isn't it? That those mental health issues that are prevalent in all of us often do appear to be, seasonally controlled.
Yeah.
We all tend to come alive a little more in the spring, which is perhaps as it should be.
Yeah.
And the autumn is often a time for reflection and introspection, isn't it?
Yeah. Hence why we sort of go in and,
It seems somewhere doesn't it, that we're in conflict, really, seasonally.
Yeah.
Because perhaps at a time when the rest of the planet is introspective and beginning to close down for winter, our culture is cruising 24/7. No change.
Yeah.
Full steam ahead. Perhaps some of those mental health issues could be dealt with by just behaving in a more seasonal context.
yeah.
Yeah, whether I'm into dragons or not. Well, I guess that was the beginning of when I was having that experience of getting into earth energies, like I said, and they're really what you call dragons.
Yeah.
Around about that time, I had a little vision. It's my one and only real vision. It was a very cheesy vision. I was falling asleep, and this image came to me. I was out to sea looking in at the cliffs somewhere, and there was this pinnacle of rock, and this voice came, like an American voiceover really, said, "Come to Tintagel and all will be revealed." Oh, great, okay. So I got my Fiat Panda and trudged off to Tintagel and stayed in a B&B with a guy with a dog called Tristan. Everything was Arthurian, even the dog.
Wow. Wow. Hear that?
Some crazy bird.
Yeah, must be. Crazy bird here in the studio.
I think let's get in touch with Darlington actually.
Yeah.
It's not good, it's not on. I'm trying to make a radio show here and the bloke keeps like making these weird, freaky, trippy noises. Word.
Definitely.
What kind of establishment is this? I hope you're listening.
If you could go back to the studio now and grab some things, or what would be your favourite thing to have here?
My favourite things to have here would be
We've got 3 things.
I don't know. What to have here?
Yeah.
In the tree.
Yeah.
See the river drifting by and wave at a few people who looked up at the tree house, looking at us and sort of like, "What are you doing up there?" And it was a nice moment.
We're actually doing a radio show, aren't we?
We are
In this tree house.
in the tree house.
Cool. 'Cause I shall have to bring this tree house into future shows, because we've just gone down to Deer Island usually and climbed a tree, and sort of like it's all been windy and sort of like
Putting some sides up was a really good idea. It really has helped. It does help keep the sound by the microphone now. I imagine there was a few difficulties.
Yeah, there was a few difficulties, and we nearly had on several shows. We nearly had people falling out of trees just because the wind was so strong. You know what I mean?
I completely. So I'm very happy to be enclosed in the studio, like in the treehouse.
Yeah. There is, of course, at the end of the show, we will go back to the studio in Dartington, because that's where we started the show, didn't we? Well, I did it.
Well, I was.
Okay, well, brilliant. I love that idea that we travel to Via Island on the show every week, and this on that little journey into the treehouse. I think the imagination. How did that happen, Alex? Do you want to share?
Okay.
How did you come to that imagination?
I'll tell you why. Because I've been told, you need something. The whole idea of Vera Island Disc was to get people to come away from their normal, bustling, everyday lives that's full of stress and all that, and just be themselves. I was trying to, a lot of on BBC radio shows. Also, I've heard that people often get drunk before going on air. and they're given a few beers or something, but and so I thought, well, why not take them through the imagination, a journey, as it were. So it's like, and with some people it works really well, and some people it's like just like, oh gosh, it totally depends on the imagination, and it works really well. Although in the early days of the show, like with my uncle, you and it was just music and chat, and that was it. But I remember you actually did a really good sound effect thing at the beginning of it, and I was going to play that, but I'm like, I don't know where that is now. But anyway, it was, gosh, what was I going to say? It was really, I like using the imagination because it is imaginary. And the thing with radio is you can do anything. And Vera Island Discs was like, I did think, because there was a time where I was really into horror films. And so, I've always been into horror films, but I met this guy that was this, his name was Dean Puckett, and he was an excellent guy. And he was this filmmaker, and he was into horror.
I've been in two of his films.
Oh, yeah, so have I, actually. Yeah, and I've been in a couple of them, actually. But I was an extra in two of them. But and he said to me once, well, why don't you make it on, whereas Vera Island is Vera Island, you're based on Vera Island, and so basically I had the whole of Totnes as a zombie apocalypse. And the only safe place to be was Vera Island in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. The idea is that the zombies couldn't get on the island and blah 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 blah. And it worked really well. And I did have a friend, my friend Paddy from Cornwall came on the show once, and he's really into, he likes watching films and stuff, and war films and things like that. So we got this soundtrack of a tank, and we went from Vera Island in this tank down up to Happy Apple and crashed through the window in a zombie apocalypse, just like, it was great, and it was like, yeah, it was bizarre, and made some cool sound effects and stuff, and yeah, that was really great.
There's no shortage of imagination then, is there?
No, not really.
So Alex, on your show, and I've been on your show too, you asked the guests to bring in a playlist of about 30 minutes of music. And I wonder, if you had to bring 30 minutes of music onto the show yourself, who might you bring in, which artist, what music? Maybe 3 or 4 artists that would have to be on your playlist.
Okay, Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd, maybe a Beatles track. I'm not really sure, but maybe some Bob Dylan. I'm not. I'm not. I can't see that. I'm blind in one eye, you know. So I can't see that really. But you know. So yeah.
And is there any particular piece of music that is your number one all-time piece, that if you had to choose one piece of music or one artist, what that might be?
Man, we are so lucky living in the town we live in.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I mean, I haven't heard him for a while, but I used to, a lot of buskers come to Totnes and busk in the street. And I've seen a lot over the years. I've been in Totnes, but one of the best people I've seen busking around is Christabel. And I'd just go up and sit and just listen for ages, you know, to Christabel playing, or, you know, that for a time there was this other guy called John, and they'd both been on the show, but and they're like incredible musicians that I just wouldn't tire of, you know. And so there's quite a lot of talent around busking and you know in Totnes, and that's quite a lot of inspiration for my show. And I you know, nowadays maybe get the confidence to go up and ask, hey, would you come on my show? And quite often, if they're a musician, the answer's yes. Well, you know, and you're like, great. And then but what I'm doing now is I'm picking dates and thinking, shit, there's someone already on the show then, and it's like, oh my gosh. You know? So you have, it's, you know, but yeah.
So the commitment, 11 years of doing a radio show, it's a hell of a commitment, isn't it, in anything, in any endeavour we do. And so you give a lot to the community by being on the show, you do a lot of volunteer work around the place. What does the radio show give you? What do you get from doing that show every week?
What do I get?
Yeah.
I'd be careful how I answer this. Give me a sense of purpose, a sense of commitment, because there's one thing I always try and do is be there on time, you know. And not everyone does, you know, because it's a community radio station, because it's like very ad hoc at the best of times, you know. Someone says that their weekly show, and then, you know, they can't make it every week, and that's happened to me a few times, but not. But I try and make the effort to have a different guest on each week, and that takes quite a lot of preparation, I think. But the thing is with Vera and this is I don't have to do much prep, because I asked my guests to choose the tracks, and so they do the work. That's all part of coming. I don't know. I mean, yeah, if they haven't got any, you know, they'll just, you know, email me some tracks or something, and I'll put a list together, but I won't, you know. So I don't pick any of the music at all for the show.
Yeah, and Alex, you've had some amazing people on the show over 11 years. Obviously, if you're doing 50 shows a week and 50 times 11, there's a lot of people. If there was one person that you'd love to have on your show in the whole world, is there one person you'd love to interview on your show? And who might that be?
I don't know. I can't answer that, I'm afraid. I'm a bit like well, I don't. I've interviewed some quite famous people on the show, because I remember don't know if you've ever heard of Dan Whitehouse. He's a musician that was playing the Great Hall, and Katie Whitehouse, and they're no relation actually, but they just got the same surname. But Dan Whitehouse is an incredible musician, and he was playing a gig in the Great Hall, and Katie got him on my show. She emailed me and said, "Yeah, I've got Dan. Do you want him to come on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll promote the gig, and stuff like that." And so he came on the show, and it was like just having a matey chat, and sort of thing. So it's but then I've done some shows before where I've actually interviewed like some quite famous musicians as well, like Arthur from the Penguin Cafe, and that was fun. We just because we've got this Squadcast thing, which is it's like a Zoom thing, but it records in WAV files. So, and I when the Penguin Cafe did their first gig in St Mary's Church in Totnes, I interviewed Arthur from the Penguin Cafe via this Squadcast thing, and it was like a 15-minute interview. It's on Mixcloud, and if you want to check it out, but it was really I really enjoyed that, because I didn't have a clue what I was going to say. We just got on like wildfire, and it was, and so I've had a lot of fun doing the show as well. So
there's never a straight answer, is there, with Alex?
No, never.
Never a straight answer. Never. Yeah. So Alex, viral on disc, but there's been other involvement, hasn't there, with the radio as well, different shows. Do you want to just elaborate a little bit on some of the other things that you were involved with over the years?
Some of the other things.
Yeah.
Okay, for a short while in the lockdowns, I did a show called The Blackbird Interviews, which I suggested Christian Morrison. He's another big music promoter around Totnes, and runs Blackbird Collective. But so I suggested to him one day, what about a show called The Blackbird Interviews? And they're like, yeah, that would go down well. So, and the first ever one is with him, and that's on Mixcloud, and all those are on Mixcloud, but they're on the Blackbird Infused Mixcloud. And so I did that, and for a while I did a show called On the Sofa with Alex and Tracy, and that was with Tracy Gillies from the Barrel House, and that was having a chat with various folk and interviewing people on the sofa, and having a chat and promoting gigs around Totnes, promoting stuff that was coming up or things. And I actually have done a few documentaries, a couple of radio documentaries, and I've still got one in my head which I really want to do, but I haven't found the time or the inclination or the energy to do it yet, and I'm hoping that will come to fruition soon. I want to do something on the leech well. Leech well.
What a good idea.
And
you could reach right back to the leper hospital and right forward into where the stream goes now. And have they managed to reinstate the pond yet, the bathing pool?
They'll never do that. They'll never do that. But
anyway, really interesting.
You'll see it all in the documentary very soon.
You'll see it all when it comes out, yeah. But it was... But that documentary I've got an idea for. I have no idea what's going to go in it yet. But also I've done a couple of documentaries in the past. I'll play a few clips in a moment. But and I actually, because it's a community radio station, I get involved with like I was on a show called Everybody Counts, and what we did it was a maths show run by, and it was getting funding from Learn Devon, and so I happened to get paid for that, which was really good actually. It's really helpful, but it was like and I'd be part of the team that brings that into fruition, and that ran for about 6 weeks, I guess, where every week we'd interview a mathematician, or we'd have a mathematician on the team really, and then we'd interview various other people to do with maths and stuff, and just make maths a lot of fun, And then actually tomorrow morning I'm doing I'm going to be part of a team that we're doing a show on science, on ecology, and that'd be a talk show, sort of, with various tunes in, I guess. But yeah, that'd be fun. It's always fun, and you never know what's going to happen at Soundart. So that's one of the things that's really good that I enjoy.
So it might be pertinent time now just to play a few minutes of your documentaries as we sort of close up over the next few minutes. So do you want to push play and?
Well, I made a couple of documentaries. There's one I made on. I'll tell you the backstory behind them. The first one I'm going to play for you is an excerpt of Sanctuary Tales, which is I volunteered at the Monkey Sanctuary for a long time before I moved to Totnes and in Cornwall, and I was on a Buddhist retreat in Plymouth once, and back in 2015 I was on a Buddhist retreat at the end of 2014 at the end of 2014 I was on a retreat, and I was staying at the centre, and I was like, I had this idea one night, and like, hang on, I now volunteer at a radio station, and I volunteered at the Monkey Sanctuary. So, yeah, and I decided then and there to make a documentary about the Monkey Sanctuary in Cornwall, and I called it Sanctuary Tales. So I'll play you an excerpt, and then after that excerpt it goes into a bit of another documentary I did, and on that documentary I did all the sound and everything for it, but I was helped by my very kind uncle sat over there on it, and he made a track for it, which anyway I'll play some of it. And that documentary was done in memory of my dad that passed away 2 weeks before Christmas in 2015, and one of them, and I think me and Mum just went down to scatter his ashes at a place in Torquay, I think, no, that was it. We got the ashes from the cemetery in Torquay. We were coming back, and I was like, let's go down to Bury Pomeroy Castle. So I went down to Bury Pomeroy Castle just because it was a nice place, and had a look round, and it was closed. Everything was closed up. So we just sat there for a while, just checking it out, and then it was the next day in the morning. I was like, hang on, I was sat on my own having a coffee in the curate thinking, and I was like, I've no idea whether my dad liked Bury Pomeroy Castle, but I thought he might have done. And so I thought, what a good idea it would be. I'm going to make the best documentary I've ever made, and just put it out there and see what it's like. So at first it was a radio documentary, and it got broadcast on Soundart on Halloween 2016. And then after that I sort of made it into a YouTube documentary. Now it's on YouTube as well. So, but I'll play the oops, not that, just
have got their pet monkeys when they were tiny babies, so unfortunately the trade is often based on the greed of the breeders and the ignorance of the buyers, because the breeders are selling them at a very, very young age, just a few weeks old often, long before they would have weaned off their mother's milk. And what people have at first is a quirky, unique, incredibly cute and adorable new pet. But the trouble is that doesn't last very long, because what people fail to realise is that they are wild animals. They're not domesticated like dogs and cats, and things very soon start to change. So they get to 1 year old and they already become very destructive because they're bored. A capuchin monkey, for example, would have probably 10 or 20 other youngsters to play with in their social group in the rainforest in the wild. And of course these guys don't just chew a table leg like a puppy might, or scratch the curtains like a cat might. These guys can climb, they'll climb up the curtains, they've got opposable thumbs, they'll dismantle light fittings, they'll open fridges and help themselves to food. They pee everywhere because naturally they do something called urine wash.
And I always have this feeling of anxiety for any female loved one I'm with.
Well, we thought we saw a black dog. Glowing orbs, like floating down.
I saw someone up in the window. And if you come with your heart as open as a velvet door and let me in.
Made me jump a little bit.
But there it remains, defiant against the ages and defiant against inevitable decay.
It was like the veils of time parted.
Basically heard the sound of horses.
I have never experienced anything like it in my life.
The haunted castle.
Yeah, so you see, you know, yeah.
And they're available on YouTube.
The Sanctuary Tales is available on Mixcloud, on my Mixcloud channel, which I can share with you, or in the, you know, and This Castle Ruin, which is the Bury Pomeroy documentary, is on YouTube, and